Okay, good morning, everyone. Today we're continuing in Romans chapter 11, and this part is talking about how us Gentiles are grafted in. And so Paul says twice in the beginning, in verse 11, and then on to 13, he says twice that Gentiles are grafted in to make Israel jealous. And so because after the fullness of the Gentiles, all the Israelites enter in. And so, in verse 13 it says, "Now I am speaking to you Gentiles, inasmuch then as I am an apostle to the Gentiles. I magnify my ministry," which means to serve, "in order somehow to make my fellow Jews jealous, and then save some of them. For their rejection means the reconciliation of the world. What will their acceptance mean but life from the dead? If the dough offered as first fruits is holy, so is the whole lump. And if the root is holy, so are the branches. But if some of the branches were broken off, and you, although a wild olive shoot, were grafted in among the others, and now share in the nourishing root of the olive tree." So this nourishing root of the olive tree, so this is, so in the New King James Version, so this is the ESV I have, but in the New King James Version it talks about being a partaker in fatness. And it reminds me of Ephesians where it says that we're partakers of the divine nature, right? And so it goes on, "If you are, remember it. It is not you who support the root, but the root that supports you." Right? It reminds me of like we're the clay and God's the potter. It even reminds me of in Ezekiel in 36:26 where it says that God does it not for our sake. He does it for His sake, right? And then in verse 19 it says, "Then you will say, branches were broken off so that I might be grafted in. That is true. They were broken off because of their unbelief. But you," God's talking to us now, guys, "you stand fast through faith. So do not become proud, but fear. So have reverence," right? And then it goes on to say, "But God's kindness to you provided you continue in His kindness," right? Yeah, we always want to be kind to people. Reminds me of a gentle word turns away wrath, right? If someone's angry. Because even we would be cut off, otherwise you will be cut off. And so, and then in verse 24 it says, "For if you were cut off from what is by nature a wild olive tree and grafted, contrary to nature, into a cultivated olive tree, how much more will these, the natural branches, be grafted back into their own olive tree?" Wow. So we're grafted in, right, guys? And it reminds me of the spirit of adoption. So the wild olive trees are out and about, and then you have cultivated olive trees, and so cultivated olive trees grow higher, and the wild olive trees, they just like scatter. So it kind of reminds me like we're the Gentiles, right? And then we're brought in, right? And then the olive tree is a symbol of grace, right? We're saved by grace, right? And and it also reminds me of a couple of verses. It says Ephesians 3:17. It says, "So that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, and I pray that you be rooted and established in love." Right? We're rooted in Christ, and rooted and established in love. And then Colossians, it says, "Rooted and built up in Him, strengthened in the faith you were taught, overflowing with thankfulness." Right? So we're overflowing with thankfulness, and guys. We're not proud or anything like that. And man, guys, we're grafted. It's such an amazing illustration of us being out wild and just doing our own thing. And then God brings us in and puts us in a root. Puts us in the root, right? So guys, man, it's just glorious. So he takes us from being scattered to being rooted and grounded in Christ. So guys, remember when you were saved, where God grafts us in, right? He grafts us in the root, you know? Yeah, oh man. Gives us a new heart, right? Ezekiel 36:26. That's just so wonderful. So be encouraged, guys, that God is grafted us in. He's adopted us as His sons. Man. Oh, man, it's so wonderful. And you guys be blessed today and be encouraged and walk in that kindness and walk in that awe of who God is. Yeah. Alright, you all have a wonderful day. God bless you. God bless your souls.